up just as you saw the films and the show, and so we're just going to open that up. I'm going to start out. They already know the question I asked in the afternoon show, so they've polished their answer by now, I'm sure. But I always start out with one question for everybody, and then we'll go back and open it up to you to ask a question or make a comment about each film as we go down the line. So I asked each one of them that when they go to create a film, they have a certain idea, a certain vision, a certain purpose for the film that they can imagine. And then somewhere along the line, maybe something happens, good or bad or different, unexpected. And so the whole creative process gets changed and modified and that kind of a thing. And I always wonder about how a filmmaker deals with that, handles that, you know. And so that was my question. Let's see if what's your answer? We're going to start with Sydney and Turducken.
Hello. So my idea was always the same, that I wanted to have an alive Turducken, but the challenge I had was our school's program is you only have a year to make this film, and it's a lot of work for one person to do. So they really only want you to have two main characters, so it's not too much work. And obviously a Turducken would have three, because there's a chicken, a duck, and a turkey. So I was trying to find a solution to this, because originally I wanted all three of them to be the main characters, and they're all working together to solve the problem, get off the farm. So I worked together with some of my professors, and I rewrote the story to have just a turkey be the main character, and the chicken didn't really move too much, you know, he wasn't a main character anymore. So we made it work like that. So that's kind of how the vision changed a little.
Hello. So for me, it was like really I was interested in the idea of like making a film about a blacksmith artist. I was interested in sound, and especially the sound of electric hammer, and I wanted to play with rhythm and like the music that exists in that space. But when I met Kirk, I found out that he was not only a blacksmith artist but an environmentalist. And after that, everything changed. Really, that's the nature of documentary filmmaking. So you should be always open for like big changes.
Unfit. John and Nick. Unfit.
I think one pretty interesting thing that we experienced was just like the way that the film transforms through the different steps of the process. You know, there's the film you write, the film you shoot, the film you edit. And I think we saw some changes in the tone, or at least how we were doing it. You know, when we wrote it, we always kind of pictured it as this blend of drama and comedy. And then I think by the time we rewritten it 10 times and shot it and edited it and re-edited it, a lot of the comedy of it had kind of faded for us. You know, we've heard a joke 100 times, it's not as funny anymore. But then getting to see it, you know, with an audience and see the laughs and the way different people react to different moments, it puts it in a new lens, for sure.
We're gonna have two answers, all right. I said last time, I said that working with the fitted sheets turned out to be just as inconvenient as you would think it would be. And that, I think, we had to change a little bit of the blocking. And I think that sort of, like on the day, we kind of had to wing it and it changed the flow of the movie.
It was the wrong size, right?
It was the wrong size.
Katerina with Avenir, en français,
Future.
means future. Avenir means future, yes.
I'd say that because it's based off of a real story about my grandfather, it was choosing which part of his life to focus on for the narrative. And so originally I wanted to focus more on a fatherly son relationship he had with the priest at the orphanage that he grew up at, but it kind of shifted to more of a narrative focusing on his mother and connecting the red dress with the red flower. So I'd say that would be the main change that happened while working on the film.
And Randy with voices.
Any creative process, in this case it's film, whether it's narrative or documentary, the worst thing you could possibly do is have a very narrow idea. This is what it's going to be, this is the idea in my head, this is the film I have, and god damn it, that's all it's going to be, and just everything else goes out of the way and just do it. And that's the worst thing you can possibly do. And my 28-year-old daughter in seeing the film 3/4 of the way cut. Now, the audience is actually not you guys, but it's these guys, right? She looked at it and said, Dad, I can't believe what actually went down. It's just, I can't believe it. I said, well, yeah, true. But can you put a little bit more historical perspective so, we can learn more from it? So we found a professor at Davis who's the top level go-to person on MSNBC and CNN who always talks about abortion and the history of it. And that changed the whole movie. And I wouldn't have made that shift unless Emily suggested it.
So when you write a play, I think the same thing happens. You start out, I have to do something about Dobbs, and you send out a whole bunch of invitations to people to write their stories, and the power of storytelling, the power of your story happens. And it changes the initial courage to do whatever you're going to do with Dobbs into the flight of many spirits, of many courages, and then a new shape takes place. So storytelling.
And with Vestige.
So for Vestige, initially I had a way bigger and way more complex story. There was like a medieval kingdom falling apart and then time travel, all kinds of stuff. But in the end, during the development, I came across this piece of classical music called The Swan by Saint-Saëns. And I was surprisingly very inspired by it. If any of you have heard of it, it's a beautiful solo cello piece. It's very elegant, but with like an undertone of sadness to it, and that really inspired me to kind of think of what story that I ended up with today. So I'd say that was like inspiration. It comes when it comes. You kind of just have to wait for it. Yeah.
Boris, moving day.
Moving day, yes. So I really think it was smooth sailing actually. So I had 2 hours to think about what went wrong, and the only thing was that on the third day the camera stopped recording because we had an issue with one of the hard drives. So it took us 2 hours to fix, and we had a hard out when we had to be out of the stage. And so the last shot, the top shot when she's sitting down on the couch, we got that in 5 minutes. So sometimes you're just surprised it takes you 4 hours to, get one over the shoulder, and then you create this top shot, this very emotional scene in 5 minutes. So sometimes movie magic happens.
And Matthew went off to some rural part of California, called Berkeley, California, to make The Way of the Shepherd.
I think it was Albert Maysles' famous documentarian that once said, if you end up with the same story that you started with, then you haven't been listening along the way. And for me, with trying to just do a simple portrait piece about this young man, this father, and this husband who came all the way from Peru just to make a better life for his family, turned out to be something much deeper and richer, and found myself really connecting with him about his interest in his faith and living a simpler life, and his connection and relationship and affinity for the animals that he works with, both the dogs and the goats. And I thought it was going to be something much simpler, and it turned out to be something far deeper than that, and that's always a beautiful surprise. And as a documentary filmmaker, I think that's the blessing, is to have an experience like that, and I indeed had that experience with my subject, Christian.
And Vivian, who ended our show with The Mooning.
Hello. With a story like The Mooning, the objective obviously is to prove the real moon landing to all of you, so it really only can end in one way. And so we kind of worked backwards as long as we like kind of prove that objective. In a medium like animation, you really do have like control over absolutely everything, which gets to the point of just kind of deciding like to pick which battles you want to spend all of your scope on. We had a really limited like time frame, so I think the only things that we're able to really change was having to cut some things out to really allocate our time and effort to make what we were going to keep in the end as professional as best as we could. So yeah, scope probably.
All right. We're going to open it up to the audience now to ask. So we're going to ask for anyone who has a comment or a question. We'll go back down and start with Sydney again. Who might have a question or a comment you'd like to direct it to Sydney? Just raise your hand. All right. Lynn, go ahead.
I saw the Rossmore play when you presented it there, and I know everyone was extremely impressed at the time, and we all said, please do something more with it, don't let it die here. And so is this the more? Have you done something beyond this?
Beyond this in relation to what?
Of getting this out to
Getting it out, yeah.
larger community.
It is, right now we have a campaign through an organization called Gather and our distributor, Rocco Films. It's called a Pay It Forward campaign where you can see the film. You can either see it for free or donate $5 or more. It's not on like a YouTube or a Netflix, you can just, or an Amazon where you can just click on it. Our goal is to get 1 million views before the election. That's what we're doing. And what we want to do is, John is going to be posting the link, or you can grab me before I go, and I can fit the link to the site, and you can see it there. And we want to, we're trying to get it out as large as we can.
May I say something?
Yes.
May I also answer?
Yes, I just made one comment about the link. So I will be sending members of the Film Society, you'll be getting an e-blast link tomorrow morning. That will have an e-blast. That will have the link that Randy is referring to. If you are on our Friends e-blast list, I will be including that and the results of everything in the regular Friday e-blast to our friends of Mountain Shadow. And if you're not on either one of those mailing lists, you can go on our website and sign up to receive the Friends e-blast, and then you'll get the link that way as well. All right? Or you can ask Randy after the show. Okay. Yes?
Randy also directed the film of the play. So the play's been made into a film, right? It was shot with 8, 9, 10 cameras, not just a simple straight on. It's very lyrical, poetic. The American Medical Women's Association offers it to any and all of you for free. It's a 57-minute film, and you can go to our website, Voices from the Silenced, run all that together, and you can see how you can view it right there. Secondly, if you know anyone living in New York City, on October 21st, which is a Monday, there's going to be a staged reading of the play at Symphony Space, which is a very well-known large theater in New York City, and many star actresses of a certain age are going to be reading the play. Probably the most noteworthy of the actresses is Tyne Daly, who will be doing the character of Jane. So anybody living in New York City, October 21st, all the proceeds are going to Center for Reproductive Rights.
Very good. Very good. All right. Let's start again. Up ahead. Any comment or question for Turduck Inn? Anyone? Okay, shout it out.
The question is for Ray the Shepherd. First of all, I thought it was really a nice answer. And I wondered, what made you think of it? Have you seen the goats on the hills around, or individuals that come from other countries
Yes.
have a contribution to make because you put that in there with the band saying it's you know, it fertilizes the land and machines do whatever. But anyway, I've got to know how you got that idea.
Yeah, Matthew, if you can, just in case anyone couldn't hear it, if you can repeat the question you heard.
What is the genesis for the film, the idea? My wife. My wife and I go hiking all the time. Those Berkeley Hills are not far from our home, and it was kind of the height of COVID, the lockdown, all productions were shut down. I couldn't work, and she was like, well, what about that as a subject for a short doc? And I was like, I don't know. She speaks Spanish, so she translated a few questions for me, and I was like, wait a minute, he's cool with this, and he's not, you know, and he's from Peru. Like, I was immediately intrigued. And the fact that he was like, yeah, you can come follow me around. It's as simple as that, really.
Great. All right. So I want to get a question, at least one question or comment for every film. Thank you very much for those. Let's see if there's anybody else have. Yes, okay. Steve.
I just want to congratulate you on making a very concise and humorous film that really had a great impact. And I think they did a good service to just limit it to the turkey and focus in on how that turkey got into that truck. And so, you know, I just think you pulled it off really well. I just want to compliment you about that. I don't really have a question. I mean, I think you did a great job.
Well, thank you.
I'm sure this Thanksgiving, a few people will be thinking of that film. Okay. Yes. All right. How about Kirk the blacksmith? Any questions we can for Azad? Kirk the blacksmith. Comment, question? Who's got one? Yes, right here.
Yes, I wanted to know more about the shark finning and why that is going on, the purpose of it.
So there are like millions of sharks every year, and they cut their fins in different parts of the world. And the reason is apparently the fins adds texture to some type of soups, and they are selling at the weddings in a bowl for a bowl of like more than $100 for a bowl. So it becomes a very they make a very expensive soup. And it doesn't have any taste. It doesn't add any taste to the soup. It's just the texture, and that has become a symbol of being rich. So if you want to show how rich you are, that's the type of soup that you make. And so that's really, and they're killing millions of sharks every year for that reason.
All right, thank you for that. A question or a comment for Jonathan? Oh, yes. Okay.
Why did you choose to do split screen when you did your documentary?
So, to be honest, I like reality, but I also want to play with it a bit. So, that's my way of intervening reality in one sense as an artist. So, and the second is, I was thinking about the concept of identity and how split sometimes our identities could become. And for me, that was a way to also think about Kirk as both a blacksmith artist and an environmentalist.
Great. Okay, question or a comment for John and Nick. Unfit is their film. Who has trouble making their bed in the morning? Liberation Room. Okay, yes, right back there. Shout it out, can you?
No, I was just saying I had trouble making my bed.
Question or comment about their film? Yes, right here. Shout it out, Michael.
In the final scene when the sheet split, did you have to sort of engineer that to happen?
Yes, we did. It was definitely a little frightening on the day because you only have so many sheets, so basically what we did is we pre-cut it a little bit and framed it out of the shot. So we had our actors on both sides and they pulled it as hard as they could and split up the middle. So.
All right, let's move along. A question for Avenir. Avenir. Who's got a comment or question? Avenir? Yes, right here. Arlette.
I was just going to say your grandfather must have been a great deal to you.
Yes, he was my best friend when I was really little.
Yes.
I just have a comment. I wanted to tell the person who did Vestige that I thought it was absolutely beautiful. And one of the...
Thank you so much.
Very good.
Your main character had a blue eye and a green eye. Was there any symbolism behind the two different colors of the eyes?
I wish I could say there was a symbolism, but my grandfather in real life had heterochromia. So I really wanted to focus on that detail of him, because when I was little I thought it was the coolest thing that he had two colored eyes. Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I want to thank John and his marvelous crew for, I love the way he lined up the films.
Yeah.
We laughed like crazy at the beginning and we ended laughing like crazy at the end. Thank you, John, for this.
Great every year. This year, outstanding. Absolutely, with these films. Yes. Well, okay, comment back there.
For the movie Vestige, how long did that take you to do all the artwork?
How long did it take to do all the artwork for Vestige?
All the artwork you did.
Yeah, so from the beginning to the end in total, I'd say like 5-ish months. I was on like the school deadline. So I wish I had 5 years, but.
She had a school deadline. All right. Yeah. All right. 5 months. All right. Let's see. Let's go on to Boris. Moving day. Question or comment for Boris and moving day. Yes.
I just thought the way you portrayed her feelings and didn't really come out to the very end. Having another character sort of open her eyes, I thought was very moving.
Thank you very much. It was important for me to, now when she was alone, there was no need for her to hold everything back. And the last conversation triggered, that she was able to release that and accept her mother in a way.
If I could just follow that up with a question that was asked this afternoon's screening for us, and is that based on any kind of personal experience?
Well, it wasn't when I started the project. I mean, it's a year ago, so it's not that recent, but we shot this in 2023, and when I wrote this and had the idea, it was not based on anything, but shortly before the shoot, my mother passed away. So, which made the shoot a little bit more emotional, so, to be quite honest. But, and I had a good relationship with my mother, so it's not wasting. But, I was able to kind of commemorate my mother a little bit with that,
I just wanted to say that I think I heard the word, just put the chair in the compactor. And
Yes.
I thought that was such an amazingly powerful way to convey so much emotion in a thing that we all know what it does, it crushes. So that was very, very powerful.
All right, let's see, moving along, back to Way of the Shepherd. Comment or question for Matthew? Way of the Shepherd? Any comment or question? Yes, right here, Arlette.
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say to the man about the blacksmith.
Yes.
I would have liked to have seen his sunflowers and the other thing that he did, more of his work that he did, that's all. Yeah.
Anything you want to say about that?
I could like make a feature film about him for sure. But you know, when you have like only 10 minutes and that much time, that was the reason, because you know, and with the amount of, you know, a lot of time resources like pushes you to do something and not allow you to something else. So it was my first year student film, and me experimenting with also split screen and having like not that much enough like financial support. So everything, you know, pushes you to do this much. But I really appreciate your comment, and I agree. You know, hopefully someone will do a feature film on Kirk.
One more, we'll ask one more question of one more filmmaker, and then we'll open up to anybody along here. So why don't we go on into Vivian and the Mooning? Comment or question for that?
I have a question for Vivian.
Oh, did we do it? Wait a second.
Yeah, question up here.
Okay. Question? Yeah, just shout it out.
Okay, Vivian, there's been a lot of conspiracy theories about the moon landing being false. Stanley Kubrick did it. How much role did those old conspiracy films have, or ideas have, in generating your idea for your film? And I gotta tell you, your take on it was better than anything that Stanley Kubrick.
Thank you. Well, they're right. First of all, just want to say that Stanley Kubrick did direct it. Luckily, he did it beforehand, just in case something went terribly wrong, like some strange man taking his buttocks off on the, you know, on television. So, they were correct, and because of that, I was able to make the mooning. So, yeah.
Okay, let's open it up to any other, they should be almost done with the ballot counting. And so let's open it up to any question of any filmmaker in front of us here. Just, they could, shout it out. What happened to the goats after Christian went back to Peru?
They live on a ranch in Orinda. Sorry?
They're not used for fire control or?
Oh, no, they are. It's just that Christian's ability to stay in the United States was limited based on his need to be back in Peru to be a father and a husband to his family. So his wife was like, all right, enough. You spent enough time here. He did like 3 different tours, I guess you could call them. But yes, the ranch is over in Orinda. Terry Hoyerson was here earlier. But the more interesting story about the goats is that they were, how quickly can I say this? In like 1850, the goats were gifted to the indigenous peoples of Catalina Island by Spanish missionaries. So the story goes. And the goats' population proliferated to an extent that they had to be culled. So hunters were invited to come to Catalina Island to kill them, and they had these beautiful, some of them had these beautiful horns that looked good on a wall, and to some people, and then the Navy was called in to like call them from helicopters and stuff because they were in like these ravines that were hard to for humans to access. And finally, in the 90s, animal rights groups and farmers and ranchers said, enough. Can we come and take them away? And they're like, if you can capture them, come get them. So this ranch in Orinda in '99 went out with about 6 shepherds and captured 300 or so, put them in dumpsters, put them on a barge, and rescued them. And they were actually kind of chased out of there by some of the local people that were essentially saying, once they're penned, we're going to just shoot them in the pen. And they were like, nope, we're absconding with these goats, we're saving them and bringing them to Orinda. So these goats that you saw in the film are basically their ancestors, the descendants of us.
Wow. What a backstory. Thank you. Thank you.
And that film is going to Catalina Film Festival next. That's the next stop on the tour.
Wow.
What happened with the dogs?
They're in Orinda as well.
All right, dogs are in the window as well. Okay, well, all the back, can you shut it out?
I'll try to access one of those goals from fire retardant.
Can somebody, I couldn't hear that. Could you, somebody
How
hear?
can we access goats for fire retardant?
Goats are us. I kid you not. Look it up. Goats are us. Just one R, like Toys R Us.
Here. Okay, Ron, shut it out.
That question is vestige. How did you come up with the idea of doing this as a picture book medium with almost stop motion,
Yeah, so I, aside from studying animation, I also do a lot of illustration, and I was very inspired by this book by an illustrator called Sean Tan. He does a lot of children's illustration, and in one of his books called The Arrival, he essentially used the format almost like a comic where there's like sequential panels that tells a continuous action, but it's broken up into like different images for like illustration book, and I was super inspired by that, and I wanted to create an animated version of it, so that's kind of how the entire film started. Yeah.
Okay, one last question.
For moving day, is there gonna be a sequel to explain what really happened?
Some questions are left unanswered. No, unfortunately, there's not going to be a pre or a sequel. You know, I think in my mind, sometimes we have, you know, a conflict with our parents and we don't even know how it started. So it was kind of, for me, in my mind, it was kind of that. And at one point, they were both in the corner and nobody was willing to give in. That was the construct that I had in my mind, and I talked to my actress about it when she was asking these questions, because she did ask these questions. What happened, you know? And that's, for me, it was one of these things, at one point you don't even know what started it, in a sense.
Okay, we have two quick questions for two quick answers, and then I'll make the announcement, okay? We have one question right here.
Yeah, I just want to know if the shark sculpture is on public view somewhere?
It is in Santa Cruz at Tannery Museum. Yeah, it is in Santa Cruz in Tannery Museum.
Yeah. Very good. And Bruce? Two more questions, Bruce?
A question to you, Assad, is that I noticed that you're also at the Kurdish Film Festival, and not everybody even knows where Kurdistan is, and you're considered a Kurdish director. Where is Kurdistan?
Yeah, so Kurds are one of the native peoples of the Middle East, and our land has been divided into 4 nation states, which are Iran, Iraq, Syria, and Turkey.
All right, looks like we had a few more questions, but it's running late, and so we're going to let anyone who has another question grab the filmmaker before we get out of here. We do have an after party to get to. We're going to get to as soon as we can. But I'm happy to announce that we have 9 finalists here, and we have the ballot results of the first, second, and third place laurels. Third place laurels will go to Way of the Shepherd. Second place laurels will go to The Moonie. And first place laurels this year will go to Voices. Fantastic year, fantastic films. One more big round of applause for all our films. Thank you.